Let's start today off with a Reddit question from Murky Section 863. My colleague left suddenly with no notice, and I've been covering for her for 2 months with no compensation. She got offered a promotion I went for. I'm furious. How do I cope? When we're in the workplace, there's a lot of things that happen that honestly probably shouldn't happen, but they do. And they happen quite frequently. And there's not a whole lot we could do about it, except decide, are we going to be the victim? Are we going to be the ones that put up with the crap? Or are we going to say, screw this crap and, go find a different job? And this is one of those cases where there's a lot more going on than maybe what's posted about. And in this question, it kind of paints the picture that you have somebody who left, they quit the job, and then they came back. And then they end up getting a job that they tried to get. So, someone else won. And we're in a situation now, especially in America, where we feel bad, or at least the newest generation feels bad if someone else wins and the other person loses. This goes back to the whole everybody wins a trophy mentality that is joked about a lot. And that is, we don't like it when we lose. Nobody wants to lose. I don't want to lose. No one, I don't think anybody likes to lose. But for the most part, there's a part of real life in which you have to lose, in which you have to win. And you have to understand that people win and people lose. We cannot be a culture where just everybody wins. Everybody's paid $1 million an hour, so everybody could be a millionaire. It's not possible. Unfortunately, and we don't like it. We like everything to be cozy and cuddly and teddy bearish, and everything is so soft, and everything is just perfect. Everybody's the same. Well, they're not. They're absolutely not. Nobody's the same. Some people are taller, some people are shorter, some people are smarter, some people are dumber. And it happens no matter what we do. But what it does to us as people is it teaches us that we need to take what we do have and we need to make something of ourselves. Have you ever heard the the old boomer saying, if life hands you lemons, make lemonade? Have you ever heard that one before? Well, a lot of the people in the newer generation, that I don't think they have. I don't think they've heard that one. And quite frankly, I don't think they know what it means, even if they did hear it. Okay, let's read. Maybe we'll provide a little more context. I've had it with this place. We both started as temps 11 months ago. Okay, so right there, they both started as temps. So you have two people at the beginning of the race, both temps 11 months ago. Okay, got it? She left without notice 2 weeks ago, and I've been doing my job and hers since. Okay, so you have two people doing a job, doing the exact same job. One person leaves, the other person has to pick up slack for the other person. She kept teasing she'd come back, and she never did, and I was told I had her role and my own officially 4 weeks ago. In the meantime, she interviewed for the same role I did, and she got it, despite leaving the company, and leaving me to work 2 jobs for the salary of 1. I can't get a raise, and I'm a temp. She's now permanent staff. I'm so angry. It hurts especially bad as my boss blocked me from taking a promotion to the role she's in right now 4 months ago. His logic was my work was too valuable to the team, so I was needed, but not so valuable that I can't take on a whole other role at the same time when it suits him. I want to cry. How am I supposed to handle this? You do. You cry. You cry and you move on. You cry and you move on. I was actually in a similar situation. When I was in software development, I was a temp, and they hired another temp at the same time. The other temp had 10 years of development experience. I had 0. I was the newbie. But the people on the team didn't like the guy with 10 years of experience. He was fine. He did a good job, but they didn't like him. They had some weird perspectives of him. I liked him. He didn't bother me none. But they decided to hire me full time. They wanted me on their team. And I think a lot of it was they wanted somebody that they can mold, that they can move in, that they could grow into position. And they didn't want him with all of his baggage and all because of all of his experience, which is fine. For whatever reason, they chose me. And they let him go, and they hired me full time. Okay, and so we're sitting here looking. She left without notice 2 months ago. Did I read that 2 weeks ago earlier? I don't know. Left 2 months ago. So there's a couple of things that happen, and there's a lot of things on the back end that could actually influence this. If you were a contractor, understand, if you have a 3-month contract, that's not saying you're only expected to work for 3 months, right? That's what we think as job seekers. That's what we think. We think, oh, I'm here for 3 months. No, it's a 3-month contract, meaning that the staffing agency has rights to you as an employee for 3 months. Meaning, if after 3 months the employer wants to hire full time, they can without paying the contracting company. And see, this is the huge distinction on the back end of stuff you don't see. See, if you work for that contracting company for 2 months and then get hired full time, then the hiring company has to pay extra to the staffing company. And most of the time, many of the times, employers just don't want to do that. They don't want to actually have to pay the extra money. They will in some cases, in rare cases, if they really like you, if it's really worth their time. But for the most part, they're not really wanting to do that. And so here, they say they left 2 months ago. So another thing that happens, and this is actually an issue in the staffing world, but there are ways around it. But from an employee standpoint, if you leave a job as a contractor, and then you are hired full-time by the company, in your mind, you're thinking, oh, well, I went and got a different job. I left. So I'm no longer bound by the obligations of the contracting company. And that is a trick that employers will play and some job seekers will play, is the way to get out of the contract. Let's just back up. Let's just say it's a 6-month contract. You're there for 2 months, and the employer has a meeting with you and say, I really like your work, and I think you'd be a great full-time person, but we can't bring you on for another 6 months. And then that employee goes, well, you better get me hired full-time, or I'm leaving, I'm going to go somewhere else, or, whatever the deal is. And they say, okay, I got an idea. How about you quit? You quit as from your staffing company job. And then, I don't know, we'll wait a couple months and then hire you full-time. See, and my guess, just from reading this is what has happened. There was a conversation between the manager and the temp, who, or discussion or meeting or whatever you want to call it, that has happened on the back end. There's a lot more going on here than what is being discussed. This is the first part about. So this is a bit complex only because we have a staffing agency. We have a contract involved here. One of the things that this person is not understanding is the relationship between staffing agency and the client, the hiring manager, the hiring company. So, and that's okay. It's actually extremely common to not understand that. But that's essentially the situation here, where they're most likely trying to sidestep having to pay the staffing agency any finder's fee to bring this person online. And so this person is saying it from the other perspective of, well, they left and they quit doing the work. So why do they get the benefit? And that's completely understandable. Now, there's another interesting component that's outlined here. When you have 2 people and then one person quits, and, unless you're doing some weird woke math, 2 minus 1 always equals 1, right? So, and so in this case, you have one person doing the work of presumably what she says, doing the work of 2 people. So this is actually extremely common, where employers don't want to hire more people. They want to get by with a skeleton crew, and not just any skeleton crew, a starving to death skeleton crew. And it's extremely common in the workplace. And actually many people that I talk to, many job seekers I talk to, oftentimes when they complain about the employer, when they talk about the place that they currently work, this is the issue that they're having. They're having an issue of being this person right here. They're having the issue of being told that they're going to do the work of 2, 3, 4 people, but they're not getting extra compensation for it. And this is always the logic right here. All right, you guys ready? His logic was, my work was too valuable for the team, so I was needed. Yes, understand something. As long as you're willing to be the sacrificial lamb for the team, you're willing to take one for the team, you're just, you're being a team player. As long as you are willing to do it, not somebody else, but you are willing to be the team player, then everybody will be happy. And see, the employer takes advantage of the fact that you are such a team player that they're willing to give you so much work, you'll never ever think about doing anything else but work until you leave. And then they'll replace you with a different sacrificial lamb. So there are people with so much integrity, so much of a work ethic that they just work. And when an employer finds somebody who just works, they have to do two things. They have to make the person never want to leave, they have to make the person feel like crap, and they have to do whatever they can to keep them there because they need that person to do the job. Because as long as that person does the job, they can keep doing whatever stupid thing they're doing. They don't have to work. They don't have to think. They don't have to do anything. And that's what employers do. Now, if they really cared about you, they wouldn't do that. So the deal is promotions and getting hired full time and those sorts of roles, growth opportunities within a company don't happen because you work hard. Working hard does not get you promoted. Working hard only gets you into the friend zone. And when you're in the friend zone of the employer, you're never going to get any action. And that's what's happened here. And this is actually one of the most common things that happen. And so either you have to go out and find it on your own, you have to go out and get it on your own, or you sit there and you continue to be a friend of the company. And so, and unfortunately, there's not a lot that goes on that you could do about this other than just making a decision that it's time for you to leave, time for you to find somebody else, find some other company to work for, because you're just disrespected at this point. And they know it, and they know that you will just sit there and continue to sacrifice yourself on the altar of the awesomeness that is their company. But this is actually quite common. But in reality, there's a little bit more going on here than obviously what they're talking about. When it comes to work, when it comes to competing with your fellow employee, with your coworkers, there's only one thing that really matters. And that is how somebody feels about you, what somebody thinks about you, what the perception is of you. Do they think you're going to leave? Do you think you're going to be a good worker? Almost every time somebody is in the workplace and somebody gets a promotion over somebody else, it's not because of good work. It's not because of quality work. It's because of friendship. And when we are in these situations to where it's really all about friends and friendship in the workplace, it's not about hard work, it's not about knowledge, it's not about quality of work, it becomes this popularity contest within the corporation. Now, obviously, many of us refer to this as playing politics, and that is the ultimate answer. Politics is the only way. Politics is the only reason anybody ever gets promoted for anything. Now, sometimes if you're doing good work and you get along with somebody at least a little bit, they'll say, yeah, sure, we'll get you promoted. But in my world, merit is king. Merit is the most important factor when it comes to the workplace with the people I work with. I have worked with many people in the past where politically I maybe don't agree with them, but from a merit standpoint, they were really freaking good at their job, so I respected them. I didn't care about their politics. I don't care about anything. If you work hard, I'll respect you. And when things are hard, and when you're there to make sure things work, I'll respect you. I don't care about politics. I don't really care about anything else in that regard within the office. However, the reality is there's a group of people, and it's probably about 50. I'm just gonna pull a number out of my hat and say it's maybe about 50% of people in this country that only care about politics. They don't care about merit. They only care about getting their friends into the places where they can hang out with them more. And so if you can imagine, if you get 50 people, let's just say you take 50 people to a pool and you don't know any of those 50 people. Well, soon you have to interact with those 50 people to find out which ones you like. And the ones that you like, you will allow to go on the slide. If you like them, then you could all go on the slide and have fun in the pool. Everybody else just has to stay at the shallow end. And this is what a workplace is. Every time there's a workplace situation, politics comes into play. It's all about who does the manager like? Who does the hiring manager like? Who's the friend who has the same politics as the hiring manager? And so this becomes incredibly difficult for the 50% of people who are merit-based, because it's no longer based off of what your politics are. It's based off of whether you're doing a good job or not. But our country, when it has been strong, has been 100% merit-based. Don't care about your politics, just do a good job. And when our country was 100% merit-based, our manufacturing was strong, our country was strong, our military was strong. Every part about our country was as strong as it's ever been. But now we have a problem. Now America has switched to not being merit-based, but politics-based. Where now we are so divided between, oh, you believe that over that? Well, that means that you believe in that politics, and therefore I don't like you. And see, we have this group of people who no longer focus on logic or merit. They only focus about whether you're on their team or not. And that's all it's about. And so if you were in a situation like this person, like Murky Section 863, the other person knowingly or unknowingly played politics better than you did. And you're never going to get out of it. You're always going to be stuck on the shallow end of the pool until you decide, I don't want to be here anymore, and go find a different pool. That's it for today. I'm SP Graham. This is Job for No. If you have any questions, send me an email at questions@jobforno.com. And as always, choose skills over money.